only move when you tell me to. A habit I wish I never knew. I feel the fire when I'm under the gun. I pull the trigger.
Hi everyone, I'm
but
Nihara
it's all
Nichelle. Just got
begun.
interviewed by Keith Andrews, doing a wonderful job.
I feel
And he's
the
showing,
way my
like so many other
heart
people like himself,
breaks. I hope
that
the
you
gears
shouldn't be
only
underestimated. You
work
should never
against
underestimate
the
someone who you
passion
believe
in the
is not like you.
pain. I never feel.
That's
Ladies
all I
and
have to say.
gentlemen, I'm here with Ms. Mitchell. It's great to have you on the show for a second time, and welcome back to the
Well,
Keith
thank
Andrew
you.
Network.
Thank you for having me back.
No, the honor's all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. Just prove to them you can stand out to something. So hashtag break the labels. That being said, 26 minutes of your time. You can say anything you want, talk about anything you want. PG-13, and goes up to the highest to about 14. So no F-bombs, but you do have the expression discretion to say what you like. So I'm not going to hold that towards you. It's like uncensored freedom of speech, self-expression. But keep in mind PG-13, but you have the right to say whatever you like.
Okay, no problem.
So the first one I want to ask you is for people who want to see our very first episode that we did, they can go to the Keith Andrew Network on the Facebook fan page and the Keith Andrew Network YouTube page. Type in season 6. Actually, Nope, I had that wrong. Wrong person. You can go and look up season 3, episode 207.
Wow.
So with that being said, 207, that has to go back to about 2014, 2015, give or take.
Okay. How many years have you been doing this?
Oh, it's 7.5 years.
Nice. Okay.
In this June will be officially 8 years.
Okay, cool. Wonderful.
So the first question I want to ask you about is how you been during quarantine.
I've been pretty good. It's been an up and down year for everybody, but I've been a homebody this whole time. So, plenty of food, plenty of snacks, plenty to watch on TV, and some relaxing furniture. So I've been okay.
That's all you just have to sit back and just ride it out. And the good news is, knock on wood, there's 2 vaccines coming out, and hopefully by the spring, things will start going back to normal. And by the summer, my dad says, hopefully this will be gone and things will go back to normal. But
fingers, whatever normal means,
Right. Was there ever a normal?
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, even if you can start walking around without masks and all that, this is the second time in history something like this has ever happened. So first time you're like, okay, what's the chances of it happening again? This is the second time. And regardless of people saying it came out of a lab, the point is, if this happens for a second time, and what's global warming, if you want to get into that, with we're now certain places getting tornadoes and hurricanes where they're not supposed to. Mm-hmm. This is a wake-up call of getting your shit together and prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Always enjoy the best, but always prepare for the worst.
That's true. I was actually having a conversation with some people talking about the lost city of Atlantis, and talking about how scientists say it may have been speculated that it was somewhere near North Africa and Spain, and thinking about, let's say that a typhoon hit this city. There was no there was no warning. There's no technology to keep them safe. Just imagine they were just sitting ducks and the whole thing just sank. So thank God we are in an age that, people can predict the weather. We can take precautions, and we can get safe, and, keep our friends and family safe at the same time. So, yeah, just like you said earlier, with the second time in history, but this pandemic is so much worse because there's so many more people that are affected by it. And, granted, we're social creatures, so we want to be out, we want to get fresh air and sunshine, and, but at the same time, we have to realize that what we do affects everybody around us. So regardless of not, if aren't, I suggest everyone get tested. I mean, there's plenty of places for free to get tested, and I suggest everyone do it, because let's say you have the virus, you were exposed, but you're asymptomatic. You can be walking around thinking that you're okay, but what if you walk by somebody who has a pre-existing condition? What if somebody who has respiratory issues, and just by your presence, you just talking up a storm blown in their face, and then they're dead because of you? I mean, granted, I'm exaggerating, but my point is, it's like everyone has to think outside themselves in regards to what's going on, or we're never going to get through this.
No, I agree. And it's like the video I saw. It's you need to stop thinking of me and start thinking of we.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, we're never gonna get it. And while on the subject, I wanted to tell everyone out there, wear a mask. And someone once said not enough of those people have died. And I give you an example what I mean by that. I go walking with my dad around the way, around town. 5 people, okay? 5. You can count on one hand because you have 5 fingers. That's 5 people for people out there who don't know how to count. 5 people, including me and my dad, wearing masks. But there's about 10 to 20 other people who walk around with no mask, no consideration. I give you an example. I go to ShopRite, and they have on the floor One Direction. Yeah, not to get them confused with the band or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but the arrows telling you can only go down this aisle. People don't care. They walk down the long aisles. They don't wear masks. They act like animals. And, it's kind of like if you want to act like an animal, then you got to get what you deserve. But at the same time, you really can't have that mindset because you're putting other people at risk.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's shameful, but not everyone thinks that way. It's a real shame.
No, I agree with you. And now, because you live on New York City, the next question I want to ask you is, do you think, and it's, I guess for the most part, because I live upstate, I don't know if it's true or not. I get my news from the TV. Do you believe that New York City's becoming a ghost town?
No, not even close. I mean, people are smarter and not, being out as much, but the city definitely is not a ghost town. The great thing about the city of New York is that people know how to adapt. So you had restaurants, who luckily the city gave them the sidewalk space, and there are restaurants who were able to, either switch up their menu or open up delivery so that they can remain open. And people are still gathering. Like, there are museums that you can go to. There's like the parks, but you have to do it, timed, so that you could still experience the culture of the city, but at a safe distance. So the city definitely isn't dead. We're just adapting so that we can keep going.
No, absolutely. Not to talk about politics or anything, but personally, they should reopen prisons and mental institutions and get the garbage off the street, because right now it's like the Wild West or something out of a freaking Mad Max movie. It's kind of like, the joke is, with everything, let the inmates run the asylum. But at the end of the day, it's like, who wants to live in a world like that? But I'm not talking about politics or anything, but I will give you the time to respond to that question.
In regards to the mental institutions, unfortunately, the state shut all those down. There's a lot more people need mental health needs to be taken seriously, like physical health. And people will say, oh, budget cuts, and so they close these hospitals, and so people who can afford the help aren't getting it. And so you have just, unresolved pain and anger, and people don't know how to, to deal or to heal. And in some unfortunate ways, some people become violent, and that's regard to the criminals. But then there's like, when, economically what this, what COVID has done, it has devastated people who did not have the option to have a job where they can get insurance or have the job where they can, provide for their family. And so people who relied on like hourly jobs or, the gig economy, they're the ones asked out. So that despair sets in, that desperation sets in. And then also the people who are just fed up with being treated like they don't matter. And granted, like, I don't mean, I don't want to get political either, but that's where the frustration comes in. People feel that, they're being told one thing, but the actions of the people that are supposed to take care of them show something else, and people get fed up. They can't hold that in anymore. It's like, we have to be treated like human beings. And if you don't want to treat us like human beings, then we're going to show you this is our response to your lack of care. You don't care about us. Why should we care about you? And so they have to create their own justice because, things aren't fair. The system isn't fair. Yeah.
Like the Express, and, I saw someone, we're going to take a quick commercial break in a second, but, Trump has it on a stupid hat, Make America Great. I'm going to be honest with you. It was never great. Yeah. There's a hat that I really like, and whoever came up with this probably raking in the money. It says "Make America Decent Again."
Decent, yeah. That's
I actually like that one. That was really funny.
Much better. That's definitely much better. Because, yeah, when you think of the history, somewhere like I'd say maybe 100 years from now, there'll be history books talking about what the United States is and how horrible its origins were. And then when they do write that history, they're not going to sugarcoat the United States. And I don't think they should. I think every, terrible thing that our country has done in order to become the greatest should be listed in the history of this country. So there's been decent moments, but, the class system, that's what it is. It's not, it's never been a race issue. And I had to put a little asterisk on that when I say that. But because there are people of all races who suffer. It used to be when my parents grew up. They grew up in like the 60s and everything. And when they had, the civil rights movement, they had, the counterculture movement, they had the rights back then. And they were realizing that, the more people band together, it was an issue of class. How the Latinos suffered, the Asians suffered, the Blacks suffered, and the poor whites suffered. And so they started to band together, and then the government's like, no, we can't have that. So then that's when they created let's separate the races, put them against each other, so that way they're not focused on how we're fucking all of them. Pardon my French, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but but that's what it is. It's like, and so we're still in that state. There's so many people who are still suffering economically. And so, if we look, if we stop pointing fingers of, well, you're different than me, and you actually have a conversation, oh, wait, we're not that different. We're all going through this mess together. And this is, we all have a common goal and we have a common enemy, basically. And so that's, I think that's why we have more protests now, because people are realizing, oh, wait a minute, we are definitely in this together. We're better together because we're all going through this mess at the same time. And COVID is definitely COVID does not discriminate at all. So that's my soapbox.
No, I like to get you fired up, and we're going to say that for the second part of the show. But, actually, I'm going to save my point until when we come back from the commercial break.
Hi, it's Mimi Chen.
Hi, my name is Ellen George.
Miss Shauna Todd.
Hey guys, I'm Anastasia Edwards.
Hi, this is Jackie Nunez.
I'm Sam.
Hi, I'm Amelia Rose.
Sarah Sakieta.
when
Guys, I'm
I hold the
Alexandria
bar.
Denise, and you're watching Keith Andrew Show. He's doing a terrific job. Make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more awesomeness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. What's the last 12 minutes left? We're going to have some more fun with it. Every time we do a second part of the interview, it's going to be different from the first time we ever did the interview. Now, let's hint back to the first time that we talked. The first time was, I have my card right here. We talked, it was say 2000, let's see, I started my show in 13. Now it's 1, 14. Yeah, so let's say 2015, we did our interview. And for people who want to know, you are a professional actress. So I really wish I had the numbers on me, but whatever. Let's just say 2015.
Okay.
But
Yes,
what has
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
what has changed for you for over those long time? We haven't talked in almost 5 years. So how you been and how's your acting? I know it's quarantine, everything's on lockdown, but have you been getting your acting roles and getting yourself out there?
Actually, I have. Things have actually picked up quite a bit. Sorry, allergies. Despite the slowdown, I have been able to still do some work. The industry is, everyone has to adapt. So there's a lot more Zoom stuff. I booked a pilot that will be coming out next year. So that's super exciting. One of my own short films that's currently being edited. So that'll be out next year. Going to hit a lot of festivals. Let's see. Most recently, I was a part of a virtual table reading. It was from the screenplay. It was an award-winning screenplay by this writer named Ben Everhart, and it was called The Creator. And it's a story about Gene Roddenberry and Lucille Ball bringing Star Trek to life. And it was featured. The reading was sponsored by the Downtown Los Angeles Film Festival. And I got a chance to read Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura. So that was very, very fun. And so, yeah, I've done over the past couple of years a lot of plays, a lot of commercials, short films. I'm going to be revamping my my web series, which is currently on Vimeo. It's called Velma the Web Series. And I'll be revamping that. I think Velma 2.0. So I've been keeping myself busy over the past several years, and very grateful for how things have progressed.
No, absolutely. Now, it's the other question. I want to ask you some hard-hitting ones.
Okay.
And the first one I want to ask you is, what is the biggest change you want to make in your life?
What's the biggest change I want to make in my life? I mean, let's see. That's a good one. Sorry, but I don't sneeze here.
I have that effect on people. Don't worry.
Yes, it's that time of year. What's the biggest change I want to make in my life? Well, I just want to continue to grow in, my career. Want to, strengthen our family, grow our family. Just try to continue to stack up our funds, because you never know. So,
It's true.
just plan. That's what I want to do. Just plan.
You would like this one. With everything that you accomplish in your life, what, you can actually direct this at me too. What's your claim to fame?
My claim to fame? Well, I guess my Facebook friends will think about all the crazy things I like to post. So if you want some humor, some weird, wacky, absurd humor, want a good laugh, you come to my Facebook page and you'll definitely get a laugh. So I find the weird, silly things. I'm known for my sense of humor. So that's the best thing people can say. That's my claim to fame, is my silly sense of humor. And the fact that I'm a giant nerd. So there we go. What about you, Keith? What's your claim to fame?
I guess, to be honest, using my disability, for the longest time I was using my disability as a crutch. I can't do this, I can't do that, poor me. But I'm like, you know what? Why not turn weakness into a strength? And for the past 7.5 years, this June will be 8. I guess creating a talk show, or what my brother would say, pulling a shell out of my ass. That I'm not qualified. I'm not educated in it. But if you talk to other people, like, you know what? That is, you have something that you never went to college. You don't have a BA or bachelor's, but look at what you were able to accomplish for 7.5 years on your own. You wrote the message by yourself that everyone gets. Of course, my friend who's a lawyer wrote up a permission form for me. It was a lot better than what I had originally. You know that. So just turning myself into an example of what. Now I just jamming it down people's throats saying, hey, I have a disability, look at me, look at me. But I'm showing you, if you have the heart and passion of doing what you love, regardless of who you are, what you are, then you can accomplish anything. And
That's wonderful.
I want to do this to the day I die. And I mean that. Just I found something I'm very passionate about.
That's wonderful. I think that's amazing. I have a sister, she's special needs, and my mom and I were just talking about that, and how people are perceived. They think that if you're on the spectrum that you're not capable, like you're incapable of doing anything. But there's so many people who have disabilities who've gone on to great things, and the bottom line is people just want to be treated like people, like human beings. So I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm glad you invited me to be part of it.
No, absolutely. Now, actually, you bring up a good point. With the theme of the show is about disabilities and how you can overcome it. With everything that you accomplish in your life, have you ever, besides me, obviously, and your sister, have you ever worked with people with disabilities, and are you willing to work with people with learning disabilities or any type of disabilities?
Oh, yes, definitely. I also have my mother's blind. I have another half brother who's also on the spectrum. So I've worked with people who've been disabled and the special needs basically my entire life. So it's why I have a strong compassion for people. And one thing I will say about my sister is that she has an incredible heart. She's also able to see into people and to see, if someone's, cool or just like, not on the level. And so, one, I will say that I will most definitely be willing to work with anybody. It doesn't matter, because it's like disabled makes it seem like you're incapable. If you have one disability, people think that you're unable to do everything else. And that's definitely in you and other people I know, that's definitely never been the case.
No, I agree. And your sister's more than welcome to be on the show. You guys, if you like, we can do a double interview. I bet she has funny stories to share. And, one of those things he does mention, not being able to do what other people do. I remember I used to work in a Woodbury Commons. I'm not going to mention the store. The guy said to me, I want you to open. Actually, I'm just going to say, it's not like I'm ever going to work for them anymore. I used to work at Toys R Us. And the guys pulled me in the back and said, you want to be a manager? Fine. Prove to me. I think it was Toys R Us or it was another one. It was one of them. A lot of them were assholes anyway. But the point is, I got pulled into the back. Says, you want to be a manager? You keep saying you want to be a manager? Fine. Here's your opportunity. Here's the safe. Open the safe. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Where's the key? There's no key. There's a combination. Oh, I can't do combinations. Well, that's your problem. If you can't open a combination, you can't be a manager. So in that, I also worked in another store where they said to me, and I say this sarcastically, they said, see, how am I going to phrase it? Keep it perfectly correct. That whole big thing. They said, Keith, when we hired you, we know you had a disability, but the truth is we never worked with people like you, or we never worked with anyone like you. And I'm like, what the hell was that supposed to mean? You want to say that if I was black or anything, you would. We never worked with people like you. I'm like, Yeah, I can take that either one or two ways, but I'm gonna be nice about it and not say you're an asshole. But
Right.
it's like, long story short, and my dad would say for me too, when I worked in Woodbury Commons, it never worked out. And I always set myself for failures. My dad likes to say to me, how many times I was fired. I was fired one time.
Mm.
One time. But they like to say to me, how many jobs have you had? How many jobs did you quit? I lost count, to be honest. Because when I work at a place, I like it to feel like it's a good place to work, where I feel comfortable.
Right.
The longest I've been at a store is 3 years. And then it just it stopped being fun. And once it stops being fun, it's time for you to say, you know what? It's time to step back and reorganize whatever it's happening in that situation and make yourself better. But with that being said, we're gonna go over our limit. But I'm gonna give you the last word.
Okay.
And now for everyone out there, remember it's freedom of speech, self-expression, say anything you want, express however you want. Everyone has a right to their opinion. So none of us will be held against me or our guests because we're just talking. And that's one thing about America that I love. Freedom of speech, that you can say what you want and it's not hurting anyone. So, don't be all politically correct and make up excuses. But the last thing I do want to say to you is when I approached you to be a guest on my talk show for a second time, what was your honest first reaction? What made you say yes? And how do you feel now? And would you come back for a third?
Yes, I'll come back for a third. I know I felt bad because you had been asking me for so long, and my schedule was always all over the place. So I felt bad. Like, you know what? I have the time. It's been really sweet. I'm very proud of the work that you're doing and that you've been doing it for so long. So yes, I was glad to be a part of it. And yes, I'll gladly come back for a third time if you'll have it.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 3 down the road.